The surprise attack on Pearl Harbor brought forth anger and suspicion towards Japanese legal residents in the United States during the beginning of World War II. On February 19, 1942, President Franklin Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066 that ordered all those of Japanese descent living in the United States to be confined in internment camps. Some 120,000 legal Japanese residents were confined to 10 internment camps throughout the nation. West Coast detention began on March 24, 1942, where Japanese American legal residents were given 6 days to leave their homes and businesses to be confined in detention camps. Some lost everything that they had, never to have it returned. In fact, anyone 1/16 of Japanese descent was ordered to the detention camps, and some 17,000 children under 10 were also confined, along with several thousand elderly and handicapped. The official justification was to protect the Japanese residents from hostile American citizens.
Evacuation. More than 100,000 men, women, and children, all of Japanese ancestry, removed from their homes in the Pacific Coast states to wartime communities established in out-of-the-way places. Their evacuation did not imply individual disloyalty, but was ordered to reduce a military hazard at a time when danger of invasion was great. 2/3 of the evacuees are American citizens by right of birth. The rest are their Japanese-born parents and grandparents. The people are not under suspicion. They are not prisoners. They are not internees. They are merely dislocated people, the unwounded casualties of war.
Yet no one was able to freely leave the camp. Barbed wire guarded the perimeter to prevent escape. Guard towers with guards were ordered to shoot to kill anyone that sought to escape from the camp. On March of 1942, the United States government established its first official detention camp called Manzanar. It is in the High Sierras in Central California. Throughout its years of operation, it confined nearly 10,000 Japanese Americans.
The relocation centers are supervised by the War Relocation Authority, which assumed responsibility for the people after they had been evacuated and cared for temporarily by the Army. A relocation center, housing from 7,000 to 18,000 people. Barrack-type buildings divided into compartments. 12 or 14 residence buildings to a block. Each block provided with a mess hall, bathhouse, laundry building, and recreation hall. About 300 people to a block. The entire community bounded by a wire fence and guarded by military police, symbols of the military nature of the evacuation.
The conditions in Manzanar were sparse and trying. There were 504 barracks within the camp, and each barrack had 4 rooms divided by curtain or blanket partitions, and each room could house 8 residents. Temperatures in Manzanar were brutal, with summertime temperatures peaking at 110 degrees and in the wintertime below freezing. There was little or no privacy for the detainees in Manzanar. There were no stalls or partitions that divided the showers or toilets in the established facilities here. During mealtimes, families did not have the privilege of eating meals within their own homes. Rather, they were sent to communal mess halls where the entire camp ate together as a community. Because there was no running water in the barracks, detainees had to wash their hands either in the communal restrooms or in the mess hall to keep their personal hygiene. But there was one unique detainee in Manzanar who was not Japanese, who voluntarily chose to be detained. His name is Ralph Lazo. Ralph Lazo was from Los Angeles, California, and is of Mexican-Irish descent. At the age of 17, as a Belmont High School student, he saw his Japanese-American friends forcibly removed and sent to Manzanar. Outraged, Lazo joined his friends in Manzanar and arrived here in May of 1942. Officials never asked the reason why he was here, nor his ancestry. When asked why he did this, Lazo responded, "Internment was immoral. It was wrong, and I could not accept it." Lazo would spend over 2 years in Manzanar as a detainee until he was inducted to the U.S. Army and sent to the Philippines, where he was awarded the Bronze Star. When he asked why he was a detainee, even though he didn't have to do this, he responded, "None of us should have to go." Like Lazo, Jesus is the friend that sticketh closer than a brother that came to the internment camp called Earth to be a willing prisoner to identify with our suffering. And because he was tempted at every point and he suffered and identified with our weaknesses, yet was victorious in every temptation, in every point of suffering, so too we could go to him for help in our hour of need and be victorious through his power and through his strength. He is the friend that chose to suffer with us and suffer the full consequences of sin so that we can be saved, and to free us from the internment camp of sin because he now lives and intercedes in our behalf. Are you despondent here today and discouraged by the temptation and despairs of this life? Do you feel that you're hopeless here today because you're falling over and over in the bondage of sin? Know this: Jesus identifies with our suffering and pain, and he came here to liberate us from our suffering so that we could be free from the internment camp of sin, because by his stripes we can be healed and free today. Will you not accept the friendship of Jesus today to be liberated from the internment camp of sin?